Hey guys, it's Sonia here to give you an update on the state of affairs of the world. Unfortunately, we seem to have a bit of a monkeypox problem. So it started in Europe. Originally, it was detected in someone in the United Kingdom who had apparently been to Nigeria. And it was just like, oh, you know, we got a monkeypox case. It happens. Then there were some cases in Portugal. So at the time of this article, they said there had been 5 cases. Also was reported in Spain. Now they had 23 people showing symptoms in Spain. And this was after the infection in UK and Portugal. Now that wasn't the end of it. In the UK, they had more than just that one. And very recently, like I just found out about this yesterday, the US confirmed the first case of monkeypox, and it was a man who had recently traveled to Canada. So Britain by this time had confirmed 9 cases, and the US had this case of a man in Massachusetts who tested positive after visiting Canada. Well, does that mean we have in Canada too? I mean, this stuff is getting around, you know. Usually monkeypox, it doesn't make the rounds that much. Sure enough, monkeypox cases under investigation in Canada. And then it turns out it's in Montreal. It's right here where I live. We have monkeypox here in my city. Health officials in Quebec are investigating more than a dozen cases of suspected monkeypox. 13 cases flagged by doctors following diagnoses made in 3 clinics specializing in STDs and bloodborne infections. They're saying possible sexual transmission. That's because it was flagged at 3 clinics in the gay village, including La Licorne, and it was affecting members of the LGBTQIA2S+ community. The UK HSA said 4 of the cases behind the Britain self-identified also as gay, bisexual, and other men who have sex with men. So in Montreal and in the UK, it was in the gay community. Not to blame gay people for it. It just so happens that that's where it has started. And they're saying usually it's not considered an STD, but also Ebola wasn't. But it turns out you can get Ebola and apparently maybe monkeypox from sexual contact. So what happened in Montreal was several members of the gay community went to these clinics because they thought they might have syphilis because they had these lumps, bumps, lesions, pustules, whatever, what have you, on their body, but of note on their genitals, which is kind of weird because usually monkeypox is not so much on the genitals. But that's what they said in our press, that it looked like some kind of STD. Maybe the guy who came to Canada had monkeypox and went to the gay village and went to some parties and slept with a bunch of people unprotected, and they all got monkeypox. Or maybe there was someone here in the village who slept with a bunch of people and they got monkeypox, and then they slept with that American guy and he got monkeypox too. I'm just speculating. I mean, don't quote me on that. I don't want to get sent to the meat grinder. So they're recapping a little bit here. It was the first one was a man who went to Nigeria, went back to the UK. But in the UK, the 2 latest infections reported Wednesday were not tied to either travel or other previously confirmed cases. So they're saying it looks like they have community transmission in the UK. It does seem to be spreading. And they're wondering, is it a more transmissible variant, or is it something with the behaviors of the people who've been getting it that's increasing transmission? So that's in the UK, but it seems like we're having transmission here too, because the 13 people that are under investigation, they didn't go to Nigeria. They just picked it up here. So monkeypox is just like a kind of cousin of smallpox, but less deadly. So I noticed they were saying here that the smallpox vaccine is largely effective against monkeypox. But since the routine immunization program in Canada ended in the early 1970s, Canadians under 50 are left vulnerable to infections. So that doesn't include me because I was vaccinated for smallpox. But when I read that, I was like, you know, it's kind of weird because I had been looking into smallpox some time ago, just randomly. And I was kind of surprised to see that the protection doesn't last forever. So I thought, well, did I remember that correctly? So I looked it up. How long does smallpox vaccine last? And this is from health.ny.gov, so it's from the government. So it must be true. It says smallpox vaccination provides full immunity for 3 to 5 years and decreasing immunity thereafter. If a person is vaccinated again later, immunity lasts even longer. Historically, the vaccine has been effective in preventing smallpox infections in 95% of those vaccinated. But how weird, it actually only lasts 3 to 5 years. That's what I thought I saw. So even people like myself who had the vaccine, we're not actually immune, which means we're not immune to monkeypox either. Here's another article. I was vaccinated against smallpox 40 years ago. Am I still protected? Vaccination 40 years ago may offer some protection against a fatal outcome. So a study of smallpox cases imported into non-endemic countries found that mortality was 52% among the unvaccinated. That's so high. 11% among those vaccinated more than 20 years earlier, and 1.4% of those vaccinated within 10 years. So since they stopped vaccinating like 50 years ago, that means all of us who have protection still have like 11% risk of mortality from smallpox. So it's not like we're protected. Therefore, vaccination 40 years ago most likely does not confer protection against smallpox infection, but it may help to prevent a fatal outcome. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there. Kind of hard to understand how they eradicated it when it only prevents infection from 3 to 5 years. But they must have had a good strategy because apparently it worked. Because now all we have is monkeypox, not smallpox. Anyway, back to monkeypox in Montreal. So here's another article from Radio Canada about 13 cases being examined in Montreal. And they mentioned 50 suspected or confirmed cases have been reported so far. So that's in total. And the homosexual and bisexual communities would be particularly affected. So apparently it was like that all over. So how dangerous is monkeypox? They say here on Radio Canada, monkeypox is usually mild. There are 2 main strains. The Congo strain, which is more serious, up to 10% mortality. And the West African strain, whose case fatality rate is around 1%. According to information provided by the WHO on Wednesday, all confirmed cases in the UK this year have been infected with the West African strain. So that's the less deadly one. So presumably people like myself who are vaccinated from smallpox have a less than 1% chance of dying from the West African strain. Good news for most of you because you're in my age group. So apparently it's not like the first time there's been a monkeypox outbreak. There was one in America in 2003 with 70 cases, but none of them had led to a death. So that's good news. Now, it seems like we're having more monkeypox cases every day. Just within one day, it went from 13 to 17 here in Montreal. So let's see how many cases we end up having. I hope it's not another COVID thing and we have to wear masks all the time and all that. But you know what I was thinking was, you guys remember when Bill Gates was like, the next one will get their attention.
You know, we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, you know, I'd say is, will get attention this time. You know, I'd say is, will get attention this time.
And we're like wondering, yeah, what is the next one going to be? And then it wasn't that long after, there were these vials that were marked smallpox that were discovered in a freezer in, I think, Pennsylvania. So when I saw this, I thought, oh, what if it was something from a vial that, you know, got leaked? I mean, like it's never happened before, but maybe it could happen this time. So I looked into what happened with those vials in the freezer in Pennsylvania, and apparently the news says that they didn't contain any actual smallpox. In case you were wondering also, apparently it couldn't have anything to do with that. But who knows what's really going on here. It is kind of weird. I mean, they have had outbreaks before, but it's kind of weird how just as everybody's sort of putting COVID behind them, all of a sudden there's monkeypox. But then again, we've had other things that scared us, such as killer bees, murder hornets. It was murder hornets. And yet our lives were never actually directly affected by murder hornets. And there is something else going on, though, right now, which is much scarier than monkeypox, which is something called Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever, which comes from Crimea and Congo, I guess. And they've been having an outbreak of this in Iraq. And that's much more deadly. I'd be more worried about that making the rounds. Hopefully they'll get the monkeypox under control. Apparently it's not that contagious. Remember the whole Ebola thing, how scared we were? And then it turned out it's really not that contagious, and we didn't have an Ebola pandemic. But I think we're all a bit on edge because of what just happened in the last couple of years. But I just wanted to give you a heads up. So there's monkeypox, and apparently it's right here in my hometown. So if anything happens with it, I'll let you know. So let me know what you think. And thank you for hitting like. Thank you for your support on Patreon. That keeps my channel going. And thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.